I am Sir June, and I will be your biology teacher for today. We are now in quarter 2, week 6, day 1 and 2, with the objective, differentiate biotic from abiotic component of an ecosystem. Our specific objectives for days 1 and 2 are identify and describe the categories of the abiotic component, including climatic factors, edaphic factors, and physiographic factors, and how important this component in sustaining the ecological process. And for day 2, identify the biotic component and give the important role in the ecosystem. Provided with your module code PASAI-Q2-W6-01 and PASAI-S7LT-Q2-W6-02. So, are you now ready? We're about to begin our fun and exciting biology discussion. Let us check first your memory if you can still remember your previous topic regarding the level of biological organization. And the level begins with the smallest to the largest. We have the atom, molecule, cell, tissue, organ, the body system or the organ system, organism, population, community, blank, and the biosphere. Can you identify the missing one? The one before the biosphere? Correct! That is ecosystem. This picture is an example of an ecosystem. But then, what do you mean when we say ecosystem? Ecosystem is a community of living organisms in conjunction with non-living components of their environment interacting as a system. Its biotic and abiotic components are linked together through nutrient cycles and energy flow. Ecosystem is composed of biotic and abiotic components. Abiotic components are those non-living factors in an organism's environment. Biotic components can be described as any living component that affects another organisms or shapes the ecosystem. The basic features of an ecosystem is determined by its abiotic factors. Abiotic factors is the non-living factors in an organism's environment, and it includes wind, light, soil, water, temperature, and the atmosphere. In terrestrial ecosystem, we have 3 basic abiotic categories or factors. Number 1, we have climatic factor. Number 2, edaphic factor. And number 3 is the physiographic factor. Climatic factors includes factors involving climate such as temperature and light. Temperature of the air and water affects animals, plants, and humans in ecosystem. A rise in temperature has the potential to change the way a living thing develops because it changes the metabolic rate of organisms. All living organisms have a tolerance level of temperature range. For example, a human being would die if he stood out in minus 50 degrees temperature for any length of time. Light's exposure affects the temperature. That's why areas with direct sunlight are warmer. Water. All living organisms need some water intake. Water covers 70% of the Earth's surface and falls as rain or snow over land. In an environment with little water, only organisms requiring a small percentage of water can survive, such as cactus and some desert plants and animals. Other animals thrive in the large amount of water, such as marine animals and plants in the ocean. Water is essential to survival, but every organism needs a different amount of water. Another climatic factor is atmosphere. The atmosphere of the earth sustains life. Animals and other creatures breathe oxygen or filter it from water. And plants grow because of the presence of carbon dioxide. The atmosphere is composed of several layers, including troposphere, stratosphere, ozonosphere, and the mesosphere. And the last under climatic factor is the wind. The wind speed and direction affect the temperature and humidity of an area. Very high wind speed, often in mountainous areas, may lead to stunted plant growth and limit the types of life that can thrive in an area. Wind also carries seeds and aids pollination. This allows the plant form travel out of a contained area. After the climatic factor, we'll move on to the edaphic factor. Edaphic refers to soil condition. Edaphic abiotic factors includes soil and geography of the land. They include minerals, which determines the vegetation types and distribution of plants and animals in an area. Moisture, which affects the water holding capacity of the soil, and the acidity, which influences the solubility and the availability of the most important inorganic substances. And the last abiotic factors is the physiographic factors. Physiographic factors are those factors associated with the physical nature of the area. The main physiographic factor we will look at are the slope, the gradient or steepness of a particular surface of the earth, aspect, which refers to the position of an area in relation to the sun, wind, or even wave action. And the last, the altitude, which is the height of the land above sea level. Always remember that abiotic factors for different organisms vary across biosphere. But organisms that live in the same geographic area might share the same abiotic factors. At this point, we will come to discuss the living component of an ecosystem or the biotic component. Biotic components are grouped by the scientists into three major groups, which define the role in the flow of energy which all living things in an ecosystem needs to survive. These groups are the producers, consumer, and the decomposer. Let's talk about producers, or also known as autotroph. Autotroph or producers is an organisms that can manufacture their own food using organic materials and energy source. These organisms are extremely important because without them, no life could exist at all. Producers are classified into two. The photoautotroph, which is the most common producers on Earth today. It includes the green plants, green algae, and some photosynthetic bacteria that harness energy from sunlight to power their life functions. The other one is chemoautotroph. Example of chemoautotroph are the chemosynthetic bacteria. These are the producers that obtain energy from chemicals such as hydrogen, iron, and sulfur, which are not common in most environments. Some methanogens or microorganisms that make methane is an example of producers under chemoautotroph. These green plants and green algae is an example of producers. The next biotic factor is the consumer. Consumer, also known as heterotrophs. This kind of organisms are those organisms who cannot create or manufacture their own food. Instead, they consume the food generated by the producers or consume other organisms that have in turn consumed producers. In other words, heterotrophs are organisms that eat other living organisms to obtain energy. Examples of consumers are the following. Consumers are also categorized into three. The primary consumer, or also known as herbivore. These are the consumers that eat plants. Example, we have the zebra, rabbit, cow, elephant, giraffe, and many others. The secondary consumer, or also known as carnivore. This consumer eats animals. Examples, lion, tiger, crocodile, snake, and even chameleon is an example of carnivore. And the last one is the tertiary consumer or the omnivore. This type of consumer are those who eat both plants and animals. Examples are the hen, the pig, the bear, and even us, human, is an example of omnivore. And the last under biotic factor is the decomposer. These are the organisms that break down organic materials from dead organisms to obtain energy. Decomposers is made up of the FBI or fungi, bacteria, and invertebrates including worms and insects, and plays an important role in the circle of life. Without them, waste would just pile up. Examples are the following. Can you name it? And those are the three major groups of biotic factors in an ecosystem. Always remember that biotic factors in an ecosystem are the participants in the food web, and they rely on each other for survival. We are about to end our discussion, but before that, let us first summarize our lesson. Ecosystem is composed of biotic and abiotic components. Under biotic, we have producer, consumer, and the decomposer. Producers are grouped into two groups. We have photoautotrophs and the chemoautotrophs. The consumers are categorized into three. We have herbivore, carnivore, and the omnivore. On the other hand, abiotic components are also grouped into three major groups, namely climatic factors, edaphic factors, and the physiographic factors. Under climatic factors, we have temperature and light, water, atmosphere, and the wind. Edaphic factors includes minerals, moisture, and acidity. And that ends our lesson for today. Did you understand it very well? If not, you may go back to the lesson presented in your module. And if this lesson is clear to you, congratulations! You may now answer the exercises in your module. Good luck!